everyone, and welcome to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy at TV. In case you're not a subscriber yet, please do subscribe. Just press the subscribe button as well as turn on the notification bell so that you can get notifications when we upload our videos. Don't also forget to subscribe and join, follow, like our other social media platforms. Of course, you're seeing it right about now. Don't also forget to share this video across your platforms. Enjoy the video. All right, welcome back to the program. My guest is, I mentioned them earlier, Olabode Sowunmi, energy consultant. Dr. Joseph Obele is the national PRO at Petrol. Naira for crude, the dynamics for petrol price, that's what we're looking at. Hello, buddy. Welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I think I will start with you. I hope that we can we see Dr. Obele? He's joining us virtually. Is he on? Okay. Is he on, director? I can hear you well. Okay, okay. All right, let me start from you, buddy. Is there a crisis imminent? Is a crisis mode imminent? Let me put it that way. In the petrol market, as the arrangement, the Naira for crude arrangement ends this month. I began the program by saying, of course, that it was initiated in October 2024 for 6 months, though I don't think that the presidency hinted us at a renewal at that time. What do you think?
Okay. In terms of the supply chain and the supply of the product, one can say there's a crisis imminent, primarily because people will still bring in products, the marketers will bring in their products, Dangote will use its refining to bring products and all that. Where the issue is in the pricing. So if Dangote now, because it's in a free trade zone, decides to start selling in dollars, there are a number of implications to that. Because it does not work directly abroad and it does not have an extant market for getting his dollar other than the local market, he is going to put pressure on the dollar in the local market, and within a couple of months, maybe even weeks, the dollar to Naira ratio will start to fluctuate, and the stability we've seen in the last few months is going to be affected. What that simply means is that there's going to be inflation. The price of the finished product will start going up because it's going to be based on the dollar and the Naira rate. So where the potential for crisis exists is not in the availability of petrol or diesel. The potential for crisis exists in the economic issues that are related to it. We must not forget that about 40% of our forex is directly dependent on the downstream sector. So if that downstream sector is tingled with and there's uncertainties there, it's going to have ramifications across the whole of society, across every economic strata. So that's where the potential for crisis exists.
Okay, let's talk a bit about the press release from Dangote last week, and my team should be able to put that on the screen shortly. Explain to an average Nigerian what that press release means. Because for Dangote, let me pull it up again as I got it from Dangote. Was it last Thursday or so, if I'm not mistaken, last Wednesday, which they titled Temporary Suspension of, let me just pull it quickly so that I quote them well. You know, okay, that's it on the screen. Temporary suspension of sales of crude or petroleum products in Naira. Explain to an average Nigerian what that means, because okay, so for some people, let's take, just hold on. We wish to inform you that Dangote Refinery has temporarily halted the sale of petroleum products in Naira. This decision is necessary to avoid a mismatch between our sales proceeds and crude oil purchase obligations, which are currently denominated in dollars. To date, our sales of petroleum products in Naira have exceeded the value of Naira-denominated crude, which we have received. As a result, we must temporarily adjust our sales currency to align with crude procurement currency. So please explain this to an average Nigerian, because some of the sentiments I got last week, and let me say one that particularly was of interest to me, is that Dangote is saying, okay, we're going to be selling this now, so according to the person, in dollars. Does that mean that every other business that was importing, they are importing using dollars? Should they do their sales in dollar? For example, furniture, some other things are being, Nigeria is an import-dependent nation.
Even water.
Exactly. So,
Water, because the reverse osmosis machine, which is used to do bottled water, is imported. Even the servicing of it is imported. So, but here's the thing. In the oil and gas sector particularly, because of the large requirement for infrastructure investment and the related things, there are a number of things that are dollar denominated. One of it is the price for gas, and all that. But what he is basically saying, and the reason why government cannot even come to have an impact on him, is that Dangote is in Nigeria, but it's also not in Nigeria. Dangote is in a free trade zone. So everything that Dangote brings into Nigeria technically is an import into Nigeria. So he is legally obligated to do his pricing in US dollars. So the the benefits or the privileges that he gets from Nigeria, whether as a Nigerian company and all that, are not necessarily traditionally things that belong to somebody that is in a free trade zone. So that's why people talk about certain privileges that he has. But having said that, in terms of the meaning, in simple terms, for what he's saying, I'll give this analogy. So what he's basically saying in that press release is that I am selling 100 liters of finished product, which is, say, petrol or diesel. I have been selling these 100 liters of petrol and diesel to you in the last couple of months in Naira. But however, my crude oil obligation, my crude oil sales, which is the feedstock that produces petrol and diesel, is actually denominated in dollars. In simple terms, I buy my crude oil in dollar. And because there's...
This one now not from the NNPC Limited.
So that is about to end.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is that the NNPC Limited, the crude oil that is getting, that is getting from NNPC is that one that is available to him in Naira, which technically is a kind of subsidy. So once that ends, he's saying that he's not selling to anybody in Naira again. He's going to be selling in dollars because the crude oil that he's buying is in dollars. That's in simple terms what he's saying. But having said that, it came to my attention very, very early this morning.
The question is, hold on, just before it comes to your attention. The question is, Nigeria is Nairanized. Let me put it that way. We don't spend dollar in the country.
Yes, and it's a legal requirement.
Yes. So what does that statement really mean? So is it that he's going to sell in dollars now, he's going to convert to Naira, and that, of course, would impact fuel price going higher?
No, he is legally allowed to sell in dollars.
Because it's in a free trade zone.
Yes. So technically, he's
so
not
he
in
will sell to retailers, to
yes. So technically, he's not a Nigerian.
marketers.
He's not a Nigerian company.
So the all marketers, of course, will sell in Naira to the rest of Nigeria.
They will sell in Naira, but it also means that the prices of the product can be changing every week. Because if there's a fluctuation of dollar to Naira, they have to sell at the new price.
At the new price of Naira to dollar.
Yes.
As well as the new price of crude, the crude oil price in international space.
Exactly.
Whether it's down or up.
Exactly. So the implication of that, where the dynamics, if it was all imported stuff, like it is imported from Brazil or from Venezuela or from the Europe that the marketers do, it wouldn't be that significant. But why Dangote is more significant is that he is sourcing his dollars from the Nigerian market. So there's going to be pressure on the dollar in the Nigerian market, which most probably means that the Naira to dollar ratio is going to significantly change over time. But what I said was that it was brought to my attention that the federal government has called for a meeting this week between NNPC and Dangote, and we hope, as Nigerians, and even pray, that some kind of solution will be reached that will not allow this kind of exposure to the economic indices.
Do you think that Naira for crude policy is a sustainable policy? Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, I understand. On the long run, no. Because sustainability is a principal thing. So sustainability means that that process, that economic principle, that supply chain process will work on its own without external support or pressure. So an example of a simple sustainable process is the process in the rural area to the urban area of the farmer and the woman that sells in the market. The farmer brings his product, transports it, puts his price, the cost of transportation, and the market woman buys. The market woman now sells to people at the price that it is. That's why the prices can change repeatedly. But for that crude to Naira, it is technically a kind of subsidy. However, when you are managing economies...
Is it technically a kind of subsidy?
Yes,
Explain.
because irrespective of the fluctuations in the Naira, it's going to stay at a certain fixed figure.
Is the government still clear on that fixed figure? You know, because there was a time...
the contract is not made public.
Yeah, because there was a time that we are not too sure of whether it's at a fixed price.
No, they announced it. I remember the CBN government.
No, I remember they announced it at a fixed price. But I also remember I spoke with, I think, the finance minister on this program. And he mentioned, when I brought that up, he mentioned, okay, that they are still going to look at it. Because how much fixed price will they leave it for? And I don't know why they are being secretive about it.
So here's the thing. That contract of the Naira, of crude to the Naira, needs to be made more public so that people can understand the terms.
That brings me also to the question around, despite the deregulation that we've seen, that we've been promised that we are now in a deregulated market, which ought to give us the promise of price transparency and accountability. Do you think that we're seeing that now in terms of price transparency? Are we sure?
Ordinarily, I would have wanted to say yes, but this is a clear example because we said we really don't. Between you and I,
yes.
And I don't know anybody, apart from maybe those who were involved in signing the agreements, that know the terms of that agreement. And because it is something that affects Nigerians and all that, so that at least some part of that contract need to be made public, but it is not. So to that extent. But having said that, every part of government transaction or every part of any company transaction cannot be made public, because there are corporate laws, there are issues with confidentiality, there are, rights that people want to, but they want to also protect their company from espionage, from competition and all that. So there's something, but for something of this magnitude that has this kind of impact on Nigerians, there is a need for some of those figures to be made public. So that's where there's a balancing act between the best practice of corporate governance and what is transparency to the rank and file.
What is this? There seems to be something with this petrol market and this oil industry. Let me put it. I don't want to say. Is there something? Is there a kind of automobile? Let me put it that way so that people can understand. Yes, because we were. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand
okay,
what you're
when
saying.
Dangote refinery comes into being, other refineries, Port Harcourt, even with the furore around it, worry and all of that, will be promised more transparency and all of that. Yet it's like the more we look, the less we see. Even though we've seen price reduction, and I must say so myself, over the weekend I saw some filling stations selling. I monitored, I think, 3 filling stations over the weekend. One was selling for $9.30. I think Asman Total was selling, if I'm not mistaken, around $9.30-ish. AP was selling for $8.85.
I bought for $8.80.
$8.80 where?
Utako.
Which filling station?
Close to the Chida Hotel.
Oh, close to the name. Is it NIPCO?
I've forgotten the name, but there's a very big visible...
So what I'm trying to say is that we've seen reduction in price. We've seen landing costs around $7.97, but there still be something opaque about the dynamics. What exactly is wrong?
Okay, so there are a number of issues, and it's important that those things be seen for what it is. It's a complex case rather than a simple case. So the issue is that most times Nigerians want a yes or no answer to complex issues. They want a simple answer, a simple narrative to something that is hyper-headed and hydra in the state. So I'll give an example. A couple is having problem having children. So they go to meet the doctor. It will be fallacious to assume that the problem is one thing. It can be a myriad of issues. It can be maybe the husband has low sperm count. It can be maybe they don't meet at the right time of the month. It can be maybe they're not even eating healthy. There is a myriad of issues that can be resulting into that. And they have to be tackling each one before they get to one that is the real issue or a combination that could be the real issues. Now, for the expectations of Nigerians in terms of the refinery solving every problem, that I will lay squarely on the reportage and expectations from the refinery. The issue was that the journalism that happened between when the refinery was about to come on air and when it came on were basically people that were reproducing the press releases from the stakeholders. They didn't investigate the issues. They didn't even ask questions. So it is normal.
It's an opaque industry.
No,
I've tried to ask questions.
I'm coming to that.
Yeah, I've tried to ask questions.
But there's a place for investigative journalism.
I have tried to do that.
You understand?
But
there's freedom of information built too.
When you say they'll be like, oh, these people, so stop. You're like, no, I'm not allowed to speak on it. Because these are big guys and these are big companies. No, whatever I say, do you understand what I'm trying to say? So somehow also frustrates the quest for information.
So one of the things
until they begin to see perhaps something else in the public, they now begin to cry.
So one of the things that we have missed in Nigeria is very extensive and detailed capacity for investigative journalism. In 2009, December, I was in Luanda. That is the capital of Angola. They were having an OPEC meeting there. I met a gentleman who was from the US, and he was a journalist. So during one of the tea breaks, we sat together, and we got along talking. So there was this man in an OPEC meeting with jeans and a simple T-shirt with buttons. So I was like, he was different from everybody. He wasn't really, the confidence was extra. So I was interested in what's the...
What a way to describe. The confidence was extra.
Yeah, because you don't come for an OPEC meeting with shirts and the buttons opened.
Okay.
And, everybody else is wearing suits,
yes,
and
it has a dress code, yes.
Yes, and all that. So I sat with him. So I found out that he had been reporting the industry for 35 years. And he basically even knew the careers of a lot of the people within the OPEC when they joined and all that. And so when you look, and he was basically a specialist. So people go to him, they defer to him and all that. I mean, he's long retired now. And all that. When you ask a lot of our people, you get certain basic questions about how the industry operates. They don't have it. When you see journalists post on online, on TV, and you ask them questions about what they have written, they will say, that's what we were told. And I say, basic tenets of journalism, you are supposed to understand what you are saying. They say, look, you don't know, you are not in the industry. I remember...
I'm almost feeling attacked here.
No, you were asking.
Yes,
you were asking how people got to expect. So I'm saying there's a mirage of issues. And it's everybody. The journalism that heralded the refineries was poor. A lot of it were wrong. There is also the fact that NNPC was also transitioning. In other words, they went from being a partial regulator and an operator into an operator, and there was the creation there was the creation of new regulators, two regulators. There's also the fact that the legislative capacity to intervene also had to adjust. So there are a myriad of issues that has caused it to be, because even the regulator is learning on his job. People seem to forget that both regulators are less than 3 years old. This is an industry that has been...
is that what you're talking about?
And NUPRC. Don't forget that we have been, in the petroleum industry, drilling since the 1950s.
But these guys, they were transitioned. So will you say that they are really new on their job?
So they were transitioned.
DPR,
yes, but it's not exactly the same job. So DPR, in terms of regulation, was doing more of commercial things and giving of licenses. What we are talking about is not ability to give licenses. This is an ability to do big brother things. You understand? Like you have the big brother in the big brother house who has a helicopter view of everything that is happening and is able to curtail people and is able to encourage and is able to just to ensure that the industry is functioning par excellence. So those are new things. In the past, the way the industry functioned was what NNPC wanted. to some extent, that still happens, but all of that are changes that every single stakeholder is needing to adjust. So the regulator is also learning. But Nigerians don't expect that. The other fact is that Dangote himself, who is in the industry, is also new to the industry. So what he is bringing into the industry is his experience and his expertise of working in other industries. So it's like you get a CEO who used to be in sports and had a sports company that was doing very fine. And all of a sudden, he moves to health. Yes, there's sports medicine and all that, but health and sports are totally different things. There will be some learning on the job that will come. Management follows the same principles. Yes, that is true. But when it comes to the technicality of every industry, it is different. So those are some of the factors that are there. So if we are going to put blames on issues on this,
it's true, but everybody.
Every single person.
Because
even the man on the street, I also say this.
But I don't think you've been watching the show for a while. You've known me for a while. Will it be fair to also say that all of us are part of it? Okay. Would you say that?
No. So let me put it this way. You can never have everyone being part of it. But, you see, if you have the large majority being part of it, the use of English will be that all of them are part of it, because hyperbole, exaggeration, is a legitimate use of. So look at this. There's a verse in the Holy Scriptures that I used to do. It says the Christians are liars and slow bellies. So the Christians were a tribe. It said the Christians, they are liars and slow bellies. It is not possible for every Christian to be a liar. But if the preponderance of the people, if the great majority were liars, so they will assume, in the use of English, they will say all of them. So that's just the way it is. So because if the majority, sometimes when they say, don't let me go to that. But the point I know you get my message. Definitely, yes, you do your work. Yes. You're excellent in your work. You do your research, and I'm proud, and I say it everywhere. But one tree cannot make a forest.
Yes, I understand that. I understand that. But I think we should move ahead. And let's talk about this very critical issue, which is the pipeline vandalism that we've been seeing, I think 3 now, in the last few hours, perhaps in the last few days. What do you really think about this, and what kind of risk do these vandalizations, what kind of risk do they pose actually to the Nigerian economy? Because even last week on the program, I mentioned the critical importance of River State in the oil dynamics of the country. Supplies about 40% of crude oil production, LNG, and all of that. Now we're seeing another pipeline vandalism. What do you think about it? And how strategic should the government be in terms of addressing that? Because if it continues like this, budget 2025 estimates, assumptions will be in terms of oil production, in terms of oil price.
So this is a political issue. You can dice it anyway. It's pure politics.
But it has economic consequences.
Oh, all political issues
have political economic.
So all political issues have economic implications. See, look, that great school in London, which I'm sure you've been to, is called the London School of Economics and Political Sciences. Yes. But everybody knows it at London School of Economics, but it is also political. And I say this, if you're in an organization, or even a political party, or any environment where there's politics, if you cannot see the flow of money and the economic issues in the politics that is going on, then you don't yet understand the politics. If people are debating a particular politics, whether it is Wike versus Fubara, or it is APC versus PDP, if all you are seeing is the political dynamics and moves, and you cannot see the flow of money in those political activities, then you don't understand it yet. Every political move ends with economic interest. Every single one.
I mentioned on the show last week that perhaps it's a fight for the soul of the economic resources of River State.
What can I say? So there's another. What I was trying to, when I was 29 when I got onto the board of Ericsson, and I had some mentors who were trying to help me to understand board politics and all that when I was young, and so many things. But there was a gentleman who was asking me some questions about how I grew up, my sister. So I was telling him about things we did as teenagers. So I have 2 sisters, and one of them is a year younger. So as teenagers, if I wanted to, escape and go for a party, and I didn't want my parents to know, I needed her to act for cover. So for her to act as cover, she would say, well, because we share washing of plates in the house, every single child has a day that he washes plates. So we had 2 house helps. We were 5 children. Each children takes a day, and the house helps takes the weekend. So our own was that if she was going to protect me, I was going to sweep whatever she needed to sweep and wash plates. Depending on how sweet the party is, sometimes I wash plate for 2 weeks. So that was the politics, basically. And the economics of it was that the rewards of chores that I was going to be doing it. Of course, I didn't mind. I mean, the party was something.
So that she doesn't tell on you.
Exactly, and also protect me. So, but that's basically politics. There are activities that go on, but those activities have economic interest.
So will it be good for Nigeria's economy? That's the question.
Oh, this destructive politics.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the politics that goes on within those regions is destructive politics. And it is very simple to look at. During the era of Jonathan, after the amnesty clause and all that, Nigeria was producing 2.5 million barrels per day. Today, we are celebrating producing
1.7,
1.5.
Yes, that's for crude. With condensates, about 1.8.
Yes, but condensates are even when we're doing 2.5 condensates and all that, we're not included. So the issue is this: what is really the gain of the system and the people and all that? That over 1 million barrels per day is missing from the economy, and we're so 1 million barrels per day. If you say is $70 per barrel. That is $70 million per day, including Sundays that should have been coming to the economy that were supposed to drive the economy. What do people gain from that? Okay. So it speaks to the destructive nature of the politics that is going on there.
3 questions as we close, and I'm really, because we're supposed to have Dr. Joseph Ebele, the national PRO of Petrol, but the connection, we're seemingly not getting him, and I really don't know why. Let me ask you these questions very quickly as we close, and we have about 2 minutes. Is petrol importation back into the game somehow? It has been there.
It never went away.
Good. Petrol importation back in the language of all of this, which Nigerians were expecting that, imported fuel will not come in. The second question is, will we continue to see a reduction in petrol price, or is a price hike imminent? Okay, you've answered the first question. So now the second question will be around NNPC limited allocation of crude to foreign creditors. Because they took loan, crude for loan. Let me put it that way.
Starting from the previous government.
To settle loans. So how difficult will it be really for NNPC, let me even say Nigeria now, to sustain, because we are told that we are owners of the company, even though that they are holding it in trust for us, though it's not listed on the exchange yet. How difficult is it to sustain the Naira for crude deal with this in the equation?
The Naira for crude deal is a decision, but it is important to know how the crude oil dynamics actually exist. So Nigeria has 2 major contract terms for the crude oil that it produces: the production sharing contract and the joint venture. So for the production sharing contract, it means that a particular company will spend their money, they will drill, and when they start producing, what they produce will be shared between themselves and Nigeria. So that's why it's called a production sharing contract. But for the joint venture, Nigeria and that company will form a new company, which is a joint venture, and both will put money into the company and they will drill. And then they will share according to the investments that typically Nigeria has like 51% and all that and all that. So say for purposes of an argument, we have like 55% of the crude. So every crude that we produce, we don't own 100% of it. We just own like 55%. The other ones go to those who are our partners. That needs to be noted. So if we produce 1.5, it's not actually 1.5 that belongs to us. It's just about 700, 800. Out of that 800, some amount goes to the debts, to the loans, and all that. It is from there that they are going to pay salaries for civil servants. It is from there that state allocations, budget, and everything that is going to go. It is from there that Ministry of Health will get some money for drugs and all
So
that.
what are you saying in essence?
What I'm saying is that
Sustainability?
in terms of what Dangote really wants, Nigeria just doesn't have it in terms of it.
Okay, so
Then,
that leads us to the next question. Is a price hike imminent or reduction in price will it continue?
I think with, if they are able to reach a consensus that makes all parties happy between the discussions that the federal government is brokering between NNPC and Dangote, I think what has been happening now will continue. But there is no doubt that if Dangote decides to start selling in US dollars, and it decides to start mopping up the dollar from the Nigerian market to do its transactions, there will definitely be fluctuation in the US dollar price.
And that will have
price hike.
inflation consequences.
Yes.
Definitely. All right. Thank you very much for coming
Always a pleasure.
today. All right. I'll be speaking with Olabode Sowunmi, who is an energy consultant. We've been looking at Naira to crude, the dynamics for petrol price. We couldn't get Dr. Joseph Obele, National PRO on Petrol. We wanted to get the petroleum retailers, outlets, dynamics to all of these conversations, but we'll definitely look at it in the coming days. Thank you all for joining us on the show. I am Nancy Nnaji. Be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for making it up to this minute watching the video. Thank you all. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy TV. Like, follow all our other social media platforms where we keep you up to speed with fantastic interviews, as well as markets, personal finance, business, and economy information. This is the best place to be. I'll see you all again in the next video.